and welcome along to AFTV. This is a very special video because Arsenal, we ain't got no game this weekend, but our owner, Stan Kroenke, he has a huge game this weekend because his team, the LA Rams, are in the Super Bowl final against the Cincinnati Bengals. And me and Turkish thought, you know what? Let's get a little rundown on Stan Kroenke because his team, his American football team, the LA Rams, at the moment are being very successful. To get to a second Super Bowl final in the last 4 years is a really big deal. You've got to be something special to do that as a team. He's got a brand new stadium, which is where they're going to be playing the final, which is out of this world, probably the best stadium in the world. And we wanted to find out a bit more about this Super Bowl final, Stan Kroenke, how he's managed to do that when we don't really see that happening at Arsenal, and some of the parallels. Could it be, you know, what he's doing with the LA Rams is going to be something he's going to do with Arsenal? So I thought we'd bring in Dre, who's an expert on NFL and American football, also in charge of the Verge magazine. That's yours, man. I mean, big guy there. And Dre, it's great to have you along, mate. Thank you very much for coming. I know you're a massive Liverpool fan as well, so don't mention that. We don't want to hear nothing about no Carabao Cup or nothing like that, right? But it is the Super Bowl final this week and this weekend. And first of all, tell us how big a deal that is.
I mean, it's huge. It's you know, we was talking in a different show where we was figuring out which is the biggest out of, let's say, the Champions League and the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl, bar the World Cup final, is the biggest. You know, it brings out, it pretty much, people base their whole weekend off of it. People, you know, figure out where they're going to be watching the game, you know, who you're going to be with. You know, if your team's in there, you've got to find the money somehow or another to be able to go and see this amazing spectacle. So, you know what Americans are like. They go all out. You know, obviously we had a taste of it with the London games, and we had the weird, the strange flyover out of the blue, fireworks and everything like that. So it is amazing. If you're into the sport, if you're new to the sport, it's definitely a spectacle that you would want to see.
And of course, Arsenal's owner, Stan Kroenke, as I said, for the second time, Turkish, in 4 years, has got his team to the final. And I mean, how difficult is that to do?
Well, it's the interesting thing is that he's done it in two different ways. So the first time it was basically done off of like draft picks, and which is, you know, if your team does really badly, which when he was at St. Louis, because obviously they moved the team, they were doing really, really badly. So they accumulated a lot of draft picks, so they were able to get the best prospects from the college game into their team, and then obviously trades and things like that. But like there wasn't. It was pretty much put together very well, kind of like, I probably, if we can compare it to how Leeds ages ago was put together with the young nucleus of the team, or even so you guys way back.
Or maybe even Arsenal in recent times, isn't it? Putting it together with lots of, you say lots of young draft picks. The Arsenal team, lots of academy players. Similar
at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys. The difference is that if we're putting a comparison, is that where he had young draft picks, obviously a well-established team. He had a really good running back. You know, just key pieces that you need. You need a good defense, good running game, good quarterback. Those are the things you need to be competitive in any form of way. The difference is that this time he's pretty much thrown all of his chips in the middle of the table to say, we have to win this now. So it's topping up the talent that he already had. So he had a young draft pick called Cooper Kupp, who's turned out to be exactly what everyone thought he would be, which is like a seriously ridiculously good player. Now he's just won Offensive Player of the Year. So you've got a young talent like that where you groom, but then also you back it up by bringing in experience, bringing in a really good, solid defense. So therefore, what he's done now, he's effectively, to summarize, is cash in the future to win stuff now. So really, within the next 2 years, if they don't win it this time, they have to win it next year.
So you say he's basically spent then? He spent a lot of money on assembling this team.
Well, yeah, because it's different. It's done in a different way where you can't just like Man City spend. But what you can do is you can have draft picks, or you can have where you can actually exchange for a player. So it's trades.
Yeah.
So what he's done is he's given up the next 4 years of draft picks effectively for now, right now. So if they don't win anything, Rams fans know that they're not going to be winning anything for a little while now, and they've got to completely rebuild.
Gone all out, but that's not sensible. I don't think, as an Arsenal fan, and I can only speak for Arsenal, I'm not waiting 20 years for us to have a potential at Champions League for 2-3 years, and if it doesn't happen, then forget about it for the next 10. You can't run. You can't run.
But isn't
like that.
what Dre's sort of explaining though is that, like, basically he's saying, right, I want to win now, which is something like a lot of Arsenal fans, we've been like, we want to see him build a team. You know, where are the big signings? Where are the big, right?
Yeah.
What you're effectively saying, he's kind of done that in a way where he said, right, I've been building with the sort of talent.
Yep.
But now I'm going all in, so I'm going to bring in the big, like he's brought in that Odell Beckham, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's bringing in these big names to win right now.
Yeah.
But he's not doing that with Arsenal, is he?
But as Dre said, he's also given up his next 4 draft picks, which is big in American sports. Draft picks are massive.
Yeah.
Because that kind of sustains your future as well. Basketball, American football, all of them. So soccer, as Kroenke would call it, doesn't have that. We don't have draft picks. If we finish 8th, we're not getting a good draft pick next season. We still got to go spend 70 mil on the next best youngster, the next best thing we can get. We don't have that luxury of, all right, if you had a poor season, at least you're high up in the draft picks.
But when I'm looking at it, the parallel I'm looking at is that what Dre's sort of explaining is that this is how it looks to me, is that he sort of went a long period of just bringing in draft picks, young players.
Long period
of trying to put a team together. That hasn't, he's got together some good players, but he still hasn't got enough to get the job done.
Yeah.
Now he's gone all out and he's put in all those other pieces now to get the job done. So I'm looking at Arsenal and I'm saying for a long time, as we know, there's been a lot of stagnation. And then in recent times, he's gone for bringing in academy players and young players and that. Could it be maybe? I'm just saying this is where I'm trying to look for hope here.
Yeah.
Could it be that in the summer, maybe he might try and come in with the same approach where now he says to himself, right, I've got Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli. Now I'm going to add some 4 or 5 big guns and experienced players to that to do a similar thing. That's what
in 2010, in order to acquire full ownership, Kroenke had to relieve ownership of Colorado Avalanche and Denver Nuggets. And he passed the ownership on to, I think it was Josh or maybe his wife. Now, doesn't that sound similar to what happened in 2019 when Josh comes out and tells us to be excited? That to me shows that this American football team, the Rams, are his priority, and everything else can go to his wife or his son to manage on the side. And yes, if the Rams are successful come this weekend and successful next season, we can hope that it will transfer over to us. But the reality is all the points over the last 10, 15 years are pointing to Arsenal just being that money-making franchise on the side. He first took ownership of 30%, I think it was, in 1995 with the Rams, 1995. And here we are in 2022 talking about potential success around the corner. Why has it taken such a long period? He first brought them to St. Louis, and then he takes them back out of St. Louis, all commercial aspects, all money making. It seems like it's come to a point now where he's got the stadium, he's done what he had to do over the last 20 years or so to get all the commercial revenue up, the size, the exposure, and now he's reached a ceiling commercially, and the only way to make more money is to be successful.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to cut you, but definitely onto what Turkish just said is like, if you look at when he was in charge of when they were in St. Louis, then it was just like kind of coasting along. When you're a billionaire, and you own an NFL team, it just makes you money. Come what may, it makes you money, and then they were doing really well. But the thing is that there's an urgency, and this is where it's kind of cloudy, where we can actually see what his intentions are. If I'm just being fair, he has, because he's moved the team to LA. LA is a place where you're only going to get the attention if you're winning. It's a Lakers city.
Yeah.
Lakers win.
Of course.
They've got championships all on the rafters. They got LeBron there, so you have to compete. You have to bring big names for us to be able to for you to be able to get traffic into your stadium. So you've got the Dodgers. Obviously, they've been there for a long time, and they've just recently won the World Series. So therefore, your team has to be competitive. So therefore, from another point of view, for him to be able to make more money, because that's what what it's all about. To be honest, to be fair, he's not doing it for charity. He has to make sure that it's an attractive proposition to be able to bring new fans in, bandwagon fans, people who are looking to be able to go to LA for the first time. Oh, you got to go and see a Lakers game. Well, you have to go and see a Rams game. So the stadium is a magnet in itself. Like, it's magnificent. I know it's difficult for me, for you guys to be hearing this.
It's an unbelievable stadium.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
the best stadium in the world now.
Yeah, I mean,
most expensive stadium in the world as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you got that, and then obviously the Raiders have just moved to a magnificent stadium as well. And the Dallas Cowboys
have got is rusty and needs some paint.
I'm a Giants fan, so we do the same thing. But where it's cloudy is that why doesn't he have the same type of desire for you guys? But it's done in a different way, and this is the problem. And we have the same thing with ownerships, American ownerships with Liverpool. Is that the concept of just throwing money at things doesn't make sense to them, and it shouldn't make sense to us. Yeah. Because at the end of the day is that if you've got a team and it's not a dig at City fans, but if you've got like a state-funded team, if it's like Paris Saint-Germain, there's no limits. Then like where's your you keep them backing up your bench with star players after star players, because each of them are going to be on 300,000 each. You can't afford to do that. So if anything, I think it may, in retrospect, kind of look at it as there may be a bit of hope with how your team's performing now. I mean, you're not far off getting a Champions League spot.
But how do you, I just want to cut you there.
Go for it.
Let's just say Saka with 2 years to go, we get a 70 million offer. Knowing Stan Kroenke, do you think he rejects that sort of offer, thinking that he is key to our future success? Or do you think he thinks 70 mil, that's a decent amount for an academy product that we didn't spend anything on?
Yeah.
I'd go with the latter.
I think, I mean, I'd be surprised if he didn't renew. Again, it's the same type of thing. He needs stars. He needs players that you guys are going to love for you guys to be able to come back. Same thing with Liverpool. Like, we have to be able to sign a Mo Salah or someone like that for us to be able to get, people through the door. So I wouldn't say that he's just there for the money. I mean, just being honest, because he's already built a franchise that's actually competitive over the last, few years.
Do you think there's a worry that he's using us as an asset, though? Because I know what you're saying in terms of the money, because Arsenal, he took on a profit-making business to him, a profit-making football club to us. And the last 4 years, we've made losses. So the income hasn't been as fluid as it has been when he first come in. But the club value has still gone up during that time. And that's the club value is what you get loans off of, is what you use as an asset, not necessarily the profit and loss.
I wouldn't. Another point is like, he got in a young, hotshot coach called Sean McVay into manage now.
There are parallels, isn't it? Because he's brought in a young coach there at LA Rams, and he's brought in a very young coach at Arsenal. But sorry, continue.
I mean, I can't, like, the thing is, obviously, I wouldn't put them in the same bracket. But the thing is that it's judging it by right here, right now, with little investment, he's managed to be able to stabilise a team. And don't get me wrong, like I was one of the people that were laughing at the start of the season, but now I take you guys a little bit more seriously because you're on the cusp of, and without having too many games, you literally could actually get the Champions League spots. So let's say in theory you do get Champions League spot, I would see that there would be more investment then. I think that what you should worry about is that what would happen if you don't. Because at the end of the day is that Champions League brings in money, and then he could possibly use that to be able to fund your team. But if not, I don't see him with the debt that he's got from the stadium. Obviously, the problems that he's going to be having with free agency and things like that. Because Odell Beckham Jr. is here now, next season for the Rams, but he's going to be eligible for a free agency, and he's going to be eligible for a big payday. that's not going to come from the Rams. It's going to come from somewhere else. So it's that's what I'm saying. It's like kind of really kind of difficult to be able to see where he's going to go. But if you get Champions League spots, then I would say he would reinvest that money because he would see it as worthwhile.
Well, I want to ask you this, right? In London, around Arsenal, Stan Kroenke is quite a hated figure, if I'm being quite frank. The fans don't like him. Speaking to a lot of fans this week, they want the Cincinnati Bengals to win. They don't want LA Rams to win. That's how bad it is, right? But it's a bit different in America on how he's viewed. How is he viewed in America?
The owners don't like him because he's managed to finesse a way to be able to get them to pay for the stadium effectively.
Oh, the NFL owners.
So the other NFL owners don't like him.
And explain that.
So what he's been able to do is, it's quite complicated, but what he's been able to do through some of the partnerships with the state is and the NFL themselves is that the NFL always wants a team to be in a big city because obviously it brings a lot more attention, more advertising for them and then for the team.
And money.
So so therefore what he's managed to do is there's a loophole where the teams have to actually help support moving St. Louis Rams to LA, so there's a franchise there. So it was them and the Chargers moved into that stadium. So the other owners, if you guys will have to look it up because it's too long to explain here, but the other owners are very resentful of the fact that effectively they're paying for his success there, especially if your team's not doing well.
I can understand that. And then, but then how are the fans viewing him? Like the LA Rams fans and people in Los Angeles, how do they view him?
I mean, like, to be honest with you, if your team's winning, like, you love the person, So I'm not saying that he's at the tip of everyone's tongue, but people respect from an NFL only point of view.
They love
they respect to the fact that there's a drive and ambition to be able to make this stadium, to get this franchise competitive and on the tip of everyone's tongues.
Big contrast to how he's viewed over here, isn't it?
Yeah, part of him moving into that stadium was friends in high places as well, I believe. There's a few email leaks that came out, that, conversations between him and the NFL owners and the transition of he bought land and his plans with that land is to move the club over. So the thing is, he's got friends in high places over in America that he can, talk to, swindle something and get something out the other end. In the UK and England, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that luxury. So we're all hoping that our young coach resonates with the LA Rams young coach and it just works in the same manner.
But you do see, it's quite interesting for me because I'm just looking on it and I'm seeing he seems to be having a similar model with the LA Rams as what he's having with Arsenal.
Yeah, but then listen, like I said, 1995 was his first 30% investment in the Rams. He brought them to St. Louis, then he takes them back out of St. Louis. He's successful now, 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. It's massive. It's massive. I can't discredit Kroenke for that. But then if we go into Avalanche or we go into Nuggets or we go into his other franchises, where's the success there?
Yeah.
Why have they been passed on to his wife and his son? Why? Because he doesn't care for them as much as he does the American football is obviously his sport. When he's watching it, you see him standing, you see him engaged.
I see him doing an interview. I never even knew he could talk.
But when he's at Arsenal,
he goes to the games. You see him there. Hey, look, if I paid for that stadium, please believe I'll be there, right there, eating the food and watching. But I definitely agree with you. The Nuggets is another example of the fact that he hasn't really invested in that team. Well, but the thing is, it's difficult. It's different it's on the people that you actually hire. Because you could have, like, let's say the Cowboys, who haven't won anything in 25 years, plow money left, right, and centre, and
they're like Man United.
It's quite evident what they want. They want that championship, and they do anything to get it. And it's the people that you employ. So I think the problem that you guys have, and the Liverpool fans have had to kind of get their heads around it. A lot of them haven't. I'll probably be getting that in the comments, but it's the game is run differently. So if you've been raised up with draft picks, trades, a salary cap, we don't have that. We don't have a transfer cap. We don't have a salary cap. So therefore, it's not really fair. So if anything, if you want to actually compete and win the league, it's all about your decision making. And so, like, you guys have spent a lot of money. It's not like you haven't, being honest. Yeah. No, I'm going to get hate for this, but the end of the day is that it's who you've bought. And as you can't afford to be able to get anything wrong. It's not like City where they can buy a left back. Oh, it's not working. Oh, we'll buy another one. We'll buy someone else. That's where the Americans' this mindset is like, well, let's make sure we make the right decisions. And if you're not, we're not going to keep on plowing money into this. You're going to find the money from sponsorships. That's why you guys have got everything sponsored. Same thing with Liverpool. That's why, it's imperative for you guys to be able to be in the Champions League. Then he'll reinvest that.
Yeah. I've got a question, right? As an Arsenal fan, Arsenal fans in general, what would be the best outcome for us, do you think, on Sunday? A Rams victory or the Rams losing?
I don't think it's really going to affect you guys. I mean, if we're kind of going into his mindset, because he can't. It's not like he can do anything more than he's done. Like he's spent money in getting players in. But
I'm thinking. And Turkish might have another view on it. I'm thinking, if the Rams win...
Like his motivation.
Will he say to himself, right now, I've done it. Yeah. I've finally done it. I've reached the pinnacle. I needed to do this in America and I've won the main thing you can win. Now, I'm going to concentrate on my soccer team. And I'm going to get them to win the Premier League and the Champions League. Or...
Rob, there's probably two people right now in Denver sitting down saying the same thing, saying if he wins on Sunday, maybe he comes to the Denver Nuggets next and brings us back to back.
What's your scenario?
My scenario is lose. I don't want him to win. I don't want to see that man smiling. I don't want to see him successful because I think he's taken the piss out of Arsenal and Arsenal fans for too long. You mentioned draft picks and salary cap, and I think that's the major difference in the sport. Yeah. When FFP was coming in, I was an advocate for salary cap. I think a salary cap was what was needed for football in general, but instead they done FFP, which has fallen flat on its face. Salary cap and draft picks allows for swings and roundabouts. If you're down for a few years, then you might be up again because of draft picks. Look,
it's a fairer system.
Like Burnley, Watford and that might have a draft pick from Mbappe at the end of the season because they're bottom of the league. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? In America, it's like that. In England and football in Europe in general, it's not. And I think that's the major difference. Yeah. We can talk about young coach and try and hope and say, well, we got a young coach, a young team. Yeah. But the reality is, I look at Kroenke and like you've agreed upon, if an offer comes in for a Martinelli or a Saka or a Smith Rowe in the next couple of years, we probably feel that he would take the money rather than think long term.
Dre, I've got one more question for you. Do you think he will ever sell Arsenal? Or do you think, based off of how these owners think, that he's in there for the long haul?
I mean, it's paid for everything, to be honest with you. So I don't really see.
So when you say paid for it, you think a lot of the money that was made at Arsenal's paid for the LA Rams?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Again, I'm just going to reiterate. It doesn't affect what happens on the field. So it's not like he can manipulate that with the money that he gets from you guys. What he can do is that you guys effectively have paid for the stadium. You guys have paid for everything around it.
Income.
So that's what, it's more so the income that he actually gets from it. So I don't really see what reason he would have to be able to sell. I mean, already you had the Spotify owner, making verbal offers and public offers and things like that. He didn't budge at all.
Yeah.
So therefore, I don't really see any reason why he would let go of a cash cow. Because the thing is, the problem is that until you guys as fans stop buying stuff, then it's going to affect him. I know you're wearing an Arsenal shirt now.
I'm glad you said it, Dre. I'm glad you backed me up on that one.
because the thing is that obviously Liverpool's a poor area, but at the end of the day, what the fans will do is that the fans will not buy stuff. The fans will walk out halfway through the game or
70 minutes and so on. Spirit of Shankly Group, I give them a lot of credit for that because they've got a supporters group in the Liverpool fan base that are very vocal and they actually have the fans' views and beliefs as the priority on their list.
It's very similar to, so where we have FSG, obviously not to make it a Liverpool show, but where we have FSG, we know that these guys have got a track record of using what's there, so not buying a brand new stadium and putting us in debt, using what's there, improving the stadium that's there, getting a young manager or a good team of people who are going to make correct decisions, getting young players who have got a high resale value but actually good enough to be able to compete, win things, and then you can sell them on. Obviously, COVID has ruined some of that plan, but I think that I can see there's a plan any reasonable Liverpool fan can actually see, all right, we're not spending money, but look what we've done in this short space of time. With you guys, it's like he's invested a lot of money, but the decision making hasn't been good, or like decisions like letting Aubameyang go for nothing just doesn't make any sense to me. Now that decision should have been made at the start of the season. He's not feeling it. Let's get rid of him. Let's just get some money in. Because the thing is that you're going to be forced in a situation pretty soon where I think Saka's coming to the end of his contract.
So 2 years, but that gives the player power. So.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to be forced to, if he's not going to reset, if he's not going to resign, he's going to have to resell. He's going to sell. But then I think that I would, if I was you, just come into it. I would be hoping that he wins, because winning is a drug, and winning spreads. And he would, I would like to think that he would be like, okay, same, not as hopeful as you, but he might be like, okay, you know what, we've finally won. Let's get Arsenal into some type of competitive nature. If you win if you get in the Champions League.
Yeah, by the way, I wasn't that hopeful about it. I was just giving it as a scenario.
Robbie's like this.
Yeah, I'm like that, man. But listen, you know what? I want to put it to you guys out there. Actually, we're going to do a poll on this, right? I want you guys to vote in this poll. Who do you want to win the Super Bowl? Would it be beneficial for us, right? Do you want the LA Rams, Stan Kroenke's team, to win? Or do you want the Cincinnati Bengals to win? What would be more favourable to us? You've heard Turkish. He wants the Bengals. He's going to be dressed up in like...
I suppose he's not wearing the jersey now.
Tiger gear, you know what I mean? You got tiger gear on
the time that's on, I'll be in bed, but I might set my alarm to full time so I wake up and see whether he's smiling or upset.
But could it be a win? Might sort of think Kroenke thinks himself right, you know? Winning mentality now, I've got that. I want to now go to my next biggest franchise. I hate that word franchise, which is Arsenal. And in the summer, go all out like what I did with the LA Rams. I'd really like to find out from you. Dre, thank you very much for coming on. Tell people where they can find you again.
Yeah, so check us out on vergemagazine.co.uk, and then also Alternative Sport, which is on YouTube. And then if you want to follow me, with nicely, no abuse, it's DRE365 on Instagram.
Good luck with that.
I want to check my inbox for a little while.
Thanks as well, Turkish. Of course, I know you'll be glued to it on Sunday, cheering on Stan.
You'll have the jersey on Monday, definitely.
It's very insightful. Really, thank you very much for that. And again, I want you guys to vote. LA Rams or Cincinnati Bengals. I'd love to hear from fans over there in the States, Arsenal fans based in America. I'd love to get your views on it as well, you know what I mean? Because you may have a completely different outlook on it as well. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and we'll see you on the next one.